Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Illuminating Paths, a fireside chat with me, Rizana Karbere, as your host, and our honored guest speakers. On stage, we have with us Khwelani Mabaso, South African Chapter Director and Provincial General Manager at ABSA. Khwelani believes in the power of collaboration for the greater good through entrepreneurship, technology, financial inclusion, and designs this opportunity through all her work. A seasoned speaker, Khwelani is also a chairperson of the University of Venda Center for Entrepreneurship, Rapid Incubation, and a finalist. Sorry, I just lost my place. In the Standard Bank 40 Under 40 Young Achievers, Khwelani was also listed in Mail and Guardian Women Changing Studies at the University of Pretoria. An advocate for women empowerment, Khwelani is currently pursuing doctoral studies at the University of Pretoria. She describes her passion for women as contagious, brave, and fierce. A very warm welcome to Ilham Pandiskeif. Having held the position of Head of Mobility in Corporate Functions, she is currently the Group Head of Talent Acquisition for the COO organization. She is passionate about studies in psychology and human behavior, as well as the personal and professional development of people, equally passionate about technology, innovation, and automation, and what it could bring to everyday life. She is a master's neuro-linguistic programming life coach and practitioner, and her other professional qualifications include advanced business management studies as well as the industrial psychology. From a personal perspective, Ilham is a single mom of three who not only challenge her daily, but who are also her greatest teachers. Ilham believes that change is inevitable, but transformation is a choice, and as such, advocates and supports agility and driving new ways of work. And lastly, we also have the inspirational Noha Salama, who is the Germany chapter director of Women in Tech Global Movement. After finishing her computer studies and getting an MBA in International Business Administration, she had a career in IT where she worked in project management, business development, sales management at various IT companies, including Red Hat, Oracle, Google Cloud, and NetApp. Noha is contributing to gender parity and female empowerment through her volunteer work in several NGOs, such as European Women on Boards and UN Women Germany. She attended the UN Conference Commission on the Status of Women in last March as a member of the UN Germany delegation. So as I was putting together my introductions, I needed to shorten some of the bios because these women here today have accomplished so much in their personal and academic lives, and have contributed immensely to their networks and communities. I hope that all of you today in the audience leave feeling inspired, and don't forget to take notes on all the golden advice that is going to be shared. I am the partner and event manager with Women in Tech South Africa, and I have been volunteering with the chapter for just over 2 years now. Women in Tech is an international non-profit organization on a mission to close the gender gap and help women embrace technology. We are a global movement with chapters in 6 continents, counting over 230,000 members, and we are on a mission to empower 5 million women and girls by 2030. To become a member, please sign up on our Women in Tech Hub and join our country's chapter as well as the South African chapter to keep up to date with all of our events and initiatives. Today, we're going to delve into the transformative world of global mentorship, discover how to become a part of this empowering community, the remarkable benefits awaiting you, and the simple steps to sign up. Hear firsthand from seasoned mentors about their personal journeys, the profound effects mentorship has had on career growth, and its ripple effect throughout the tech industry. This event promises to share heartfelt stories and provide practical advice for both existing and future mentors and mentees. Please feel free to ask lots of questions in the comment section, and our speakers will be more than willing to answer as we go along. So if you sign up to our mentorship program, you could be matched with a mentor anywhere in the world. One of those mentors is Noha. Noha, thank you so much for joining us today. Please take us through your experience with the Global Mentorship Program and what inspired you to become a mentor, particularly for women in the tech industry.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's it's a privilege and an honor to be here with you today. I have a special connection and association with the chapter, with the South Africa chapter, because when I signed up for the mentorship program as a mentor, I was matched with 2 mentees from South Africa. And I have been working with both of them now for more than 3 months successfully. So to answer your question, I have been working in IT and in the business and in general for more than 30 years. And now I really felt the need to share my experiences, share my know-how with the female community in tech. The objective to close the gender gap and to help female embrace technology is definitely one of my objectives. And that's why when I came across the mentorship program when it was launched, I was probably one of the first ones who volunteered to become a mentor. And yeah, it was a great decision. I'm loving the experience. I love working with the mentees from South Africa.
Thank you so much, Noha. Our next question is for Ilham, who is also a participant of the Global Women in Tech Mentorship Program. Ilham, tell us about your experience either as a mentor or as a mentee on the program.
Sure. Thank you so much, Susanna, and thank you so much for hosting me and having me today. It's really an honor to be speaking to everyone, and hopefully I can share some very valuable insights. So as a mentor on the program since last year, I've mentored to date 2 people, one currently and one last year. I think one of the most exciting parts is being based in South Africa. I was connected with 2 mentors, both being based outside of South Africa. And what I found exceptionally interesting is that, you know, as women in technology or even other industries as well that's connected to technology, that's keen on being mentored, we pretty much experience much of the same challenges. And you know, you'd think that it's isolated to just being in South Africa. We experience certain challenges, both personally and professionally, but it's actually a global challenge that we're sitting with. And for me, the experience has been exceptionally valuable as a mentor, providing mentorship, but also in learning from my mentee as well. You know, I do see it as a two-way street. It's not just giving of yourself or offering advice and support and coaching. It's really learning from each other. So for me, it's been heartwarming. It's been valuable. It's just, you know, that's part of what we do, and why we do it is to support and enable women that's on their journey, whether they starting out their journey in their career or whether they're in mid-career. We really experience challenges at different levels, and to be able to offer different perspectives to challenges that I may have experienced, I find that to be purposeful. I find it to be meaningful. And I have to just put out a disclaimer online that I'm not impressed with Eskom today. We are
Yeah.
load shedding. I'm sincerely hoping that in the next minute or so that we go back online. So I thought I'll just put it out there. But again, my experience is phenomenal. I would always encourage any mentorship at any stage of your career. I have mentors, I have coaches, and we must always remember that there's always blind spots that we aren't able to see, irrespective of how senior or seasoned you are. You are always able to learn something. And I think ISCOM heard me. So,
Yes, me too.
yeah. So yeah, I would strongly encourage that to each and every woman to continue their journey with a mentor, with a coach. Surround yourself by really exceptional women and the men that are allies to us women as well. We are able to learn so much from each other. And I'll just share that I've also been exceptionally blessed throughout my career to be surrounded by exceptional leaders and women, not only ones that I reported to and mentored me, but ones that actually reported into me as well. So it's never just a top down, or it's a bottom up as well. So I think just bear that in mind, that it's not a linear journey. And there's never just one or two leaders that mentors you. It's actually, you know, it's a village of phenomenal women around us that we can actually leverage from. And just to say thank you to Women in Tech movement each and every chapter, as well as the global movement, for offering this opportunity, because I can see the immense value that it's adding to not only South Africans, but to people around the world. And we can only just hope that we scale this even more than what it has been done, and that we get to touch lives more than what we have.
Thank you so much, Shilam. You've mentioned so many great points. One thing that I've also learned from my own mentorship journey is that it is important to have diversity in mentorship, because what we tend to do is choose a mentor that's very similar to us, from the same city, maybe the same company, same gender. But for us to continue to learn and grow and learn about others and grow ourselves, we do need to make sure that we are exposing ourselves to many different people. So I
Absolutely,
am
Razana.
so I am from a data and analytics space, and something that's very important to me is to have a success metric whenever you launch something. So I wanted to know from you, Ilham, how could you take us to how you define or measure a successful mentorship relationship?
So I think first and foremost, the ability to be open and honest and vulnerable is, some metrics, and don't hate me for it because you're a data and analytics person, but it is really not tangible, and really cannot be touched or seen. And often, there's also the perception that mentorship solves issues immediately. I really just want to say that that's probably a myth. Can it? Absolutely. It can make an impact within the first 5 minutes. But you know how I measure success is when 6 months down the line or 12 months down the line, your mentee comes back to you and tells you about that 6 or 12 months journey and the perspective they took to problems, the different perspective they took on problems they experienced then versus a year ago, and how they approached it. And that just makes you feel like you've made a long lasting impact rather than just short-term impacts on somebody's lives. I think the other way I measure it is just by the relationship at the end of that mentorship program is, you stay in touch, you continue to have conversations, you continue to share, and that's impactful. It's not just about I'm doing this 3 month 4 month mentorship program and it's done. It's the longevity of it and the impact that you continue to make as we go through different challenges and different phases of our lives. Because that's, it's life, right? We get hit by highs and lows, and the ability to share in those highs and lows is what's important to me as well.
That's a great segue into reintroducing Hualani, who's been my mentor through highs and lows. So Hualani is someone that I regard as one of my most treasured mentors. She is the mentor that you check in with every now and then, and she knows exactly what guidance and advice you need to get you back on track, even if it's the hard truth that some of us don't want to hear or don't want to face. Hualani, can you share a success story with us where mentorship had a significant impact on a mentee's career?
Thank you so much, Rosanna, for having me. It's just wonderful to be connecting with everybody, with two phenomenal women, Noah and Ilam. Uh, I must just say, without mentorship, there wouldn't be Rosanna hosting this today, right? So big ups to you. It's absolutely phenomenal for me to see you on the screen today. But also remember, without mentorship, we wouldn't have Oprah Winfrey, who was mentored by Maya Angelou. Without mentorship, we wouldn't have Bill Gates, who was actually mentored by Warren Buffett. So there are so many stories. But I would like to share two very significant one for me. I think just really looking at in-house from a women in tech perspective, I've had phenomenal success, Razana, with yourself. But I think if I look at some of our youth team, and if I look at Teko, I remember when she first joined our This Is Me program, which is a flagship program, and we had I'm Remarkable as a focus on one particular Wednesday. And she reached out, she said, Walani, I would really like to have a conversation. She was really scared because she felt, oh my goodness, how am I going to approach? How is she going to take this? Is she not going to judge me? But I think after we've had a conversation with Teko, it was just phenomenal to see her grow from a role perspective where she was doubting her own growth, and she felt that at one stage it was taking too long, and Ilam just touched on it. We think we can just do it like this and then you see success. And I think it was really just comforting that we had very deep and courageous conversation that she took to heart. And as we're talking now, we saw Toko moving from being just someone within South Africa. Now she is grown internationally from a role perspective. She's taken up a role in Portugal. She's a brave person who, after mentorship, was willing to go out there and say, you know what? South Africa is not enough. I don't want to deal with ESCOM. I'm going to go out there and just fly
Wow.
high. So that's one. And I think we need to celebrate that. There's another one. Where's Nolo? I think she's probably online listening as well. And again, it's a youth team. It's a women in tech story. But this is the power of what we have as women in tech, that we bring people from so many different areas. And I met her via, one of my mentors, by the way. And he said, there's this lady that I would really like you to have conversation with. And I look at Nolo now, I am very proud because the confidence, it is just on fire. She's doing well at work. She's doing well from a studying perspective. And this is the power of what mentorship is all about, because you are just that person who can enable and ignite that fire in another person to say, you know what, I am actually worth it. I'm going to go and do better. I'm going to go and build myself. Just the other day, we were chatting with Noe, and she was telling me about her studies, and she was saying, oh, Walani, it's very hard. I said, well, look at me. Just go there and finish it, because you're that example. Go and finish what you started. But I also want to say that if I really look from a work environment perspective as well, it's mentorship most of the time. So I've got teams that I've really had to work hard with. And it's just incredible to see people growing from an entry level position to management level. And you look at them and you say, this is the one person that I believed on. This is the one person that I actually carried, and I see them moving. So I can have so many stories that I can share, Razana, but I think it is actually just a testament of what we are able to achieve if we believe in others, because it starts with us showing them and saying, hey, you can do better. I believe in you. And they go out there and you just see them flourishing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Halani. Before we move on to our other questions, there are some comments, and there's people logging in from Arizona, Nigeria, South Africa, Budapest, and we have Nambuso, who says, hello, everyone from South Africa. I love the statement on diversity. Embracing diversity becomes not just an option, but a necessity. This helps enrich our industry with varied perspectives, innovative solutions, and gives rise to inclusive environments where all different voices are not only heard, but valued. Khwalani, we also have Teko, and she's left a comment saying she was indeed scared, but it has been such an amazing journey with Women in Tech. And Khwalani, just touching on that before we move on to Noha, there are, I'm sure, many women and girls on the call that are feeling the same way that Teko did before she reached out to you. What advice would you give someone who knows who they want their mentor to be? They've seen you on LinkedIn, they've been following your career. How do they take that first step to reach out to you and, just ask the question, are you available for mentoring? Or
I think it's a fine line, because sometimes we're very scared of approaching, but in actual fact, the very same person that you're scared was you just a couple of years or a couple of days before, where they didn't know where to start. So my encouragement to people out there is to say, if you really are inspired by someone, there is absolutely nothing stopping you from reaching out to that person. You can get three things. You can get a yes, you can get a no, you can get no response. And when you don't get a no response, you try again. And if you're not getting, go and find another person, right? And if you get a no, maybe the no might just change a couple of weeks later. So it is so important to always remember that if you don't take the first step of saying, I do believe in mentorship and I want somebody to help me, you're never ever going to be in a position to go and reach out to someone. But if you take that decision and you say, okay, you know what, I've heard about mentorship, I don't know what it means, but let me try and find someone, definitely you will find someone. And this is why, as women in tech, we see it fit to actually have that platform. And we say to everybody, here is an opportunity. And my call to action for everybody who's online today, young as you are, join other structures, because this is where the conversation is happening. Other individuals will be able to help you, encourage you, and you will find that strength to actually go and approach even a CEO. I was saying to someone the other day, and Ilam can attest to this, you reach out to people. It does not necessarily mean that you get a yes. You write a nice email, they will respond. And remember, it's always very important to point out the one thing to that individual that you really like, because that's how you connect to people. And when you're connected to people, they see a version of themselves and they will be willing to take you along the ride and help you. So reach out. Don't look at roles, don't look at where people are. We all want to be helpful out there, and we're willing to help. And if we can't help, we surely can direct you to the right place.
Great. Thank you, Malani. Yes, please reach out to us. Reach out to us by joining the Women in Tech Mentorship Program. If you're unable to do that, reach out to us on all of our social media platforms. There's always someone checking our DMs and our messages, and we're here to help. So, Noha, coming back to you and your experience with the Global Women in Tech Mentorship Program, what resources or programs do you recommend for those seeking mentorship in the tech industry? And are there any of these resources provided by Women in Tech to mentors and mentees joining the program?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the obvious recommendation is to attend the webinars as well as the in-person events of the different chapters. I've been following the South Africa chapter. You are very active. You are, one of the most successful chapters for women in tech globally. So I encourage everybody listening here to join your events, either in person or your webinars, and the resources work with the as you all said, just sign up for the mentorship program, and the global organization, the global team will make sure that you get matched with the right mentor, and they also solicit your feedback. So before they match you, they ask you for the areas you want to be mentored in, the area where you are working. And I think the matching system in the mentorship program works very well, because the two mentees in South Africa, I thought we were matched, very well and very accurately. And in both cases, we had a very very constructive and positive working or mentor mentee relationship. They trusted me, I trusted them, so it was the relationship and the communication was very open, and when you trust each other, then you can really start working working on a deeper level with each other, and then it makes it easy for me as a mentor to guide them and coach them. So there should be no nothing hidden or no secrets. And as to answer your question, I see here Melissa is also writing in the chat. You can join the our platform, the WIT-H, and from there you get to the mentorship program, and you can sign up, as I said.
Thank you, Ilham. I'm sorry. Thank you, Noha. I'm moving on to Ilham. Ilham, I love that in your bio you mention your kids, because they definitely play an important role. I mean, our families and our support systems play an important role in shaping who we are. What role do you think mentorship plays in work-life balance, especially for women in tech?
Sure. Absolutely, Razana. I think it's such a key aspect, and I'll even go as far as arguing, is there anything that doesn't impact work-life balance in today's day and age? So it's massively impactful. I think the ability to find not, I don't call it balance because I actually don't believe in work-life balance, but I do believe in work-life harmony. I do believe that at some point you make certain choices and decisions, and the ability to mentor people to understand when you get to make those decisions about when do I need to work a 12-hour day versus when do I need to put in a 4-hour day and go to my kids' sports, as an example. It's the ability to really think about what's important at a specific point in time. And I think from a mentor advice and having to kind of manage all of the different aspects in my life, I always bring it back to what brings you peace and joy. And you can't do absolutely everything because there's this perception, and especially as women, and so I'll say it, that we do absolutely everything. We look after the kids, we're ambitious, we want to drive our career, we want to study, we are the counselor, and the list just goes on and on and on and on. And the truth of the matter is, it's virtually impossible. So the first thing is, through mentorship programs, is getting to understand that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to take help and advice. And it's also okay to sometimes just not want to do anything either, that all of those things are okay. And at some point, it's okay to drop balls as well. It's okay to let the ball drop at certain points because you actually just can't do anything. And the perception that that is not okay is not okay. And so for women, I say you can have it all and you can do it all. Does it come at a price? It absolutely does. But you define what that price is, and you define what that cost is, and you define, the value to be gained or lost in those moments. And it's not to be judged at all. But can you be a very good mom and an ambitious career driven woman and a good friend and a good daughter? And you absolutely can. We do need to shift that mindset quite a bit. And I think I'll just add this more so because I have a daughter that, when I mentor, and it's not about me mentoring my daughter, but I look at it as these are the things that I'd want my daughter to grow up knowing and understanding. And, having that ability to, for lack of a better term, juggle. And so my advice to young women, women in their mid careers or even late careers, is just you can have it all. And sometimes it's okay to not just want anything at all. Like if you just want to lounge on the couch for an entire weekend, no judgment, nothing wrong with that. You get to do it. And really just do what makes your heart sparkle.
Thank you for that, Ilham. I think there's going to be many of us out there who just needed to hear that, it's okay to drop the ball sometimes. And I think it was Khwalani that gave me this advice. I can't remember, but she said, you can have everything, but not all at once.
Absolutely.
I have a question for Khwalani and Ilham. Maybe Khwalani can go first. What strategies do you use to encourage mentees to take on leadership roles?
Sure. I think this is one of those things that is always a challenge. And I'll say a challenge because I've also experienced it. I think when sometimes people see potential in you as an individual, you wonder, will I be able to do it? So you've got this imposter syndrome and you believe, but you also don't believe. And as a result, this is definitely, Rosanna, one thing that we need to really work on to encourage more and more young women and people to join and become leaders in spaces. The strategies that I think we can actually use is to really just let's have an open conversation, because I think sometimes we glorify what leadership is, and we think leadership, we think money, but in actual fact, leadership is much more harder than that. So we need to really encourage the people who've got potential, but from a place of empathy, from a place of caring, and making sure that they're going to be out there and become people we actually first and foremost care for the people that they are leading for. So if you see that, you need to then basically say to some of these people that, you know what, you actually have an opportunity to be a great leader in our business. Can you consider what you will do for this team with the kindness that you have, with the empathy that you would have, the leadership skills that you have, how much you're going to impact lives? Because leadership on its own is not for everybody. So when we see that talent as people are mentoring others, when we see that can do this well, we need to really talk to the heart first and make sure that they're connected to becoming a leader and that they believe in that. The second thing that we need to also look at is that we've got a big challenge. A lot of women don't want to take up roles because they're waiting to be 200% perfect at doing the job. And what we need to start saying to everybody is to say, we see you. You have got the right attitude, because you're not hiring for I can do the job. You're hiring for that attitude. There's skills you can teach in most cases. So we need to encourage young women and everybody else to say, go into that leadership role because we can see you are the right attitude for this role. But you know it, maybe you lack here and there, and we can work around it. And I think as people who are mentoring, we also need to understand that for us who are in that space, who are already leaders, we gotta paint a picture that says, I am here to hold your hand, walk with me, come with me. Some days will be tougher than others. I'll be hard on you, but I'll also encourage you to do it. Because if I don't lead by example, Razana, in terms of the people who are in front of me as my mentees, trust me, you are so going to start doubting yourself. We need to really make sure that we encourage, but we can't only encourage, we have to offer opportunities. Because what's the use that I come and I say to you, I'm encouraging you, but I'm not offering the opportunity? So we need to stop the lip service and get to a point where we really say, here, this is the talent, these are the people. I'm actually saying this will be the person. So moving from mentorship to actual sponsorship, Razana, where we can actually say, I've got a potential for this role. Where you go into rooms and they're talking about opportunities, you're like, I know the person. Let me just tell you about this person. She is going to do phenomenal. She's going to do great. So we need to move from mentorship to sponsorship. And that's how we can encourage people to take some of these opportunities. Thanks, Razana.
Thank you, Polani, and thank you so much for mentioning mentorship and sponsorship, because I think a lot of people are not aware that both of them exist and they serve different purposes when you're growing your career. Ilham, do you want to have a go at the same question?
I would like to just add on to that, because I could not agree more. And then I'd also like to offer a little bit of a different perspective that probably complements that. And I think just having been in talent acquisition for as many years as I have been, I always say, encourage in career coaching conversations, especially, why wait for a leadership position to be a leader? You do not need to be in a leadership position to lead. That's the first thing. So if you're waiting to be perfect, or you're waiting to be in a leadership position to gain the experience, you actually don't. You can hone those skills through practical projects and initiatives that you can actually drive yourself. You identify a need in your business area, you take the lead, and you use it as an opportunity to practice, to learn, to pivot, to grow, to reflect, but be self-aware about it and be very intentional about it as well. And so for me, it's, practice leadership without necessarily being in a leadership role, and that already is going to hone those skills and experience to enable you to be a better leader. And then I could not agree more with Balani around the type of leader you want to be as well. I think that's so critically important, especially in today's day and age, is we use the term empathetic leadership or servant leadership, and it almost sounds cliche and it almost sounds, overbaked and overused. But, and I know Balani and I had this kind of to each other, especially in an industry and an environment that is almost seems ruthless to a lot of women still today, is just be kind. Our strength is in our ability to be emotional, to be empathetic, to be vulnerable. It is no longer deemed a weakness. Now, the day you look into the mirror and you embrace the fact that you are female, that is in fact vulnerable and that is in fact emotional, is the day that you get to leverage those skills and strengths to better yourself as a leader. The world is calling for empathetic female leaders. It doesn't mean that we do not require male leaders. It's a balance between the two. It really is. We need both. We need our allies. We need the men to support us. And we really just need the women to step up and embrace who they are instead of feeling the need to step into a pair of shoes and a suit to imitate that of a man. We don't, so let's embrace who we are.
So I'm trying to contain my excitement here with all the advice and golden nuggets that's been shared. And I don't know if you guys, the speakers, can see the comments, but everyone is really excited and enjoying everything that's going on. There's conversations happening, there's questions being asked, and we'll get to them soon. I just want to hop it over to Noha again and ask Noha, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to mentor women in tech for the first time?
For somebody who wants to be a mentor on our platform?
Yes, and it be their first time becoming a mentor.
Yeah. Well, the obvious one is to make sure that you have the capacity and that you have the time. It's not enough to have the willingness, and it shouldn't be just time or capacity for one session. So you just be honest to yourself and see whether you will be able to offer or stay with the mentorship program for 3 months, because the mentees, they rely on you. First of all, you're building a rapport, you're building a relationship. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes time until your mentees open up to you, and just make sure that you have enough time. And also in being a mentor, you really need to be very honest and candid with your mentees. So don't just give them positive feedback or flattering words, because we don't necessarily learn from flattering words and compliments. I learned the most, and also people I've mentored learned the most when you give them constructive feedback on how to change things, how to improve things, how to optimize this and that. That's what I would recommend. And also, every story is different. Just because you had a certain track or a certain journey doesn't mean that your journey is right for your mentee, especially the cross culture, cross border. And what helped me when I started working with my mentees from South Africa is to really immerse myself or put myself in their shoes, understand their culture, understand everything they're going through, even just trivial details such as the climate. So for me here, it's very cold, it's raining, but for them it's very warm. So when I look at them, I visualize myself in their climate, in their time zone, in their shoes. And that's why the 360-degree mentorship is important. Understanding also their not only their professional situation and the professional world, but also, as Ilham mentioned many times, also their personal lives, what responsibility do they have otherwise, a responsibility for their children or for their parents or friends or whatever it is. So yeah, these are some of the recommendations I would give to the mentors, and also to maybe elaborate on your last question. Um, it's when somebody wants to become a leader. Now, for the mentees, really ask yourself why you want to become a leader. Do you want it for what reason? Sometimes we want things not for it's not an intrinsic motivation. Very often it's an extrinsic motivation, as some of you said. Maybe it's for monetary reasons. And to me, leadership, especially in tech and in the professional world, it's in lots of areas. You can also, just to give you specific examples, you can become a leader also as a project manager and as a program manager. You don't necessarily have to be the boss or to be the the CEO to be a leader. And in some of these roles, either that I have had myself or that I've seen throughout the years, especially as a project manager and as a program manager, you can have a lot of influence and be very, very successful. And especially in tech, we have so many possibilities to become a product champion, for example. If you're a product owner or a scrum master, and agile, I mean, there are so many possibilities. I don't need to count all the possibilities now.
Thank you so much, Noha. Ilham, could you talk us through some of the challenges that you faced either as a mentee or as a mentor, and how did you overcome them?
Sure. I think Noam actually touched on it a bit, is around you make sure you have the capacity and the availability to do so. Having said that, trying to again juggle all the aspects and you wanting to give back through this program has been challenging. So the commitment to it, like anything else. You identify the challenge, and it is a real challenge, but in that, identify the opportunity that also exists within it. So commit to it and take with it the opportunities that it presents for you as a mentor, and then as a mentee as well. Some of the other challenges is, you connect with people, and I don't just think it's through mentorship, mentee program. I think it's through a leader subordinate. You have, how do you disconnect almost emotionally as well? So you take kind of the biasness out of it and you look at things objectively. Sometimes that's a challenge. You as a leader, you probably trained to do it. As a coach, you trained to do it. But very often you yourself may be going through quite a bit in terms of juggling work and studies and kids and things. And that mindset that you find yourself in, it's quite difficult to then give of yourself in that moment. And for me, the way I address a lot of those challenges is just to make sure, whether it's 10 or 15 minutes or even just an hour prior to a mentorship call, I actually sit in silence. I ground myself, I quiet the mind, and I present myself fully. So it feeds back to the commitment. You committed to it, so be present, be fully present to listen and engage. And so that's how I address those challenges. So I think it's very important to be reflective quite often. And through this process, it actually helps you to get into the habit of taking the time to ground yourself and to reflect, which is why I say, you're gaining just as much as you're offering through that program.
Thank you, Ilhan. So we are starting to run out of time. I can't believe it went that quick. But a question to all the speakers. Let's start with Khwalani. Can you discuss any specific barriers that women in tech are facing right now and how mentorship can help overcome these barriers?
All right, thank you so much, Razana. I think the barriers are everywhere. It doesn't matter which level you are in as a leader. I think as women, we have to really take into consideration that when we speak mentorship, we're not only talking for entry level, we're not only talking for young people, it's for all of us. Even at my level, for all of us on this call, you do need to have sort of a relationship. And that's because the barriers don't stop because you're at this level. So some of the barriers that I could think of has got to do with some of the biases that you will face as a woman. And this biases and the stereotyping doesn't stop because today, you were in an entry level position, now you're in a higher position. So this is an opportunity for us to always remember that by being in the space, you're helping others to really overcome some of these barriers. So the stereotyping will never really get to a point where it stops. So with us being in these positions and really, really helping, it makes it easier to overcome some of that. The other one is actually lack of representation. We spoke about diversity, and I think diversity is not only about female, male. It's a lot of things. If you look at, there's a huge focus around diversity and inclusion. So having the technology space, which is also male dominated, it's a problem in terms of diversity. So the more we can actually talk about some of these barriers, the more we can actually address it in a nice way. So it is quite important to always remember that without us having some of this conversation around mentorship, barriers such as the ones that I've mentioned will always continue. The other one is lack of networking opportunities. We take it for granted. Some people don't know who to reach out to. They're in their own Bible, in their own cycle, and then they're sitting by themselves. There are days where it is very difficult. And perhaps I can share a snippet of a story. I remember a couple of years ago, I was quite challenged as a leader in the position that I was in. And I took my phone, true story, and I was like, who should I call for advice? And at that moment, I scrolled through my phone. I was like, but who will understand this thing that I'm facing? And it was very painful for me because at that point in time, I was like, okay, I've got trust issues with this one. I'm not sure I can ask this one. Oh, I don't know if this one is going to protect me. And I kept on circling around because at that point in time, I really needed a tribe around me. And this speaks to having people to support you as an individual. So, as women in tech, it's great we can have platforms such as this ones. And I think these barriers that we talked about will actually be overcome because we're providing support, we're providing guidance, we're building confidence, we're building a network, we're offering role models. The whole thing is there for you. So barriers are there, but we've got ways to overcome them.
Thank you, Polani. Ilham?
So I got the gist of it through Walani's answer, but I lost connection as you were asking the question. So I just want to make sure that I'm answering the right one. So if you don't mind repeating it.
No problem. So we asked Walani and all of the speakers to discuss any specific barriers that women in tech are facing right now and how mentorship can help overcome these barriers.
Wow, then it's really, really hard to top what Walani has said, to be quite honest with you. I will add though, because it's an interesting conversation that I had recently, is we need to change the narrative. Us as women, we find that we're using the same narrative. We're judging ourselves through this process. We keep repeating how it's such a male dominated industry. Now, guess what? If we're going to continue using the narrative, it's going to continue to persist. Now, if we change the mindset and we change the narrative to say we're an inclusive environment, we are a diverse industry, we continue to live it, it will unfold as such. So I'm not saying, pretend like it's not there, because you will be faced with it. You will be faced with judgments and biases and stereotypes and stigmas. You will. But the one thing that I'm so grateful for when you're mentoring and coaching is offering this perspective to it. whatever presents itself as a challenge also presents itself as an opportunity. Now, we grew up seeing the challenge in a challenge, and we need to encourage and train ourselves to see the opportunity in every challenge. So when we're faced with the naysayers, when we're faced with the different biases and stigmas, etc., it's really to stand up for yourself, take a hard, fast look in the mirror, and say, I am worth it. And I do, in fact, have the competencies to do whatever it needs to take to get to the top, or whatever that top is for you. Because there's also the perception that the top is a CEO position. It's not the case for everyone. The top to certain people is just, I want to have a great job with a great salary, and I want to be an awesome mom, and I want to be able to just go to the movies once a month type of thing. And so really define that for yourselves and own it, and start changing that narrative. I will add something else that's also quite topical, and maybe call out the elephant in the room a bit. We are our own worst enemies. Women put other women down. I see it every day. Now it's, tribes like this that makes me exceptionally proud. It's the networking that I have, the tribes that I've created that makes me exceptionally proud. And so when I see other women putting other women down, it saddens me, because we're not competing with each other. We're not. We've got our own special pedestal in the world. We just have to find it. And so, if nothing else, I hope that everyone on this call really takes heed of it. And I'm going to challenge each and every one of us to find a woman close by you now or a bit later, and just give them a compliment. Tell them why you admire them, and say it out loud. That's a challenge to everyone, and I hope you'll connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know how it felt for you. Not necessarily only the response from the other person, but how did it make you feel to know that you encouraged somebody else? And at that point in time, that words of encouragement, that smile, that bit of strong advice that you offered them could have changed their world dramatically. So never underestimate the power of a kind word and a smile.
Thank you so much, Ilham. I challenge everyone to go and DM all of our guest speakers on what a great job they did today. And thank them for all the great advice. Noha, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I really love what Ilham has just said, what Holani has said. I hope I'm not ruining your names. Also some of the comments in the chat. So to answer your question, I see it from a different perspective. I can only tell and encourage everybody, do not focus on the challenges and the what's holding you back and the negatives and the barriers. Focus on the positives. Focus on your capabilities, on your potential, on your strengths, and find your support group. Your support group are not just the mentors you see on the or you're talking to on the platform. And what I can tell you from my own experience is, if a company or an organization is not appreciating your potential and is not appreciating you as an individual and as a contributor, then move on. It's time to definitely move on. And if one or two organizations are not appreciating you, I'm sure you will find tons of organizations and companies who will love to hire you, will love to work with you. And also, as a student, you have so many possibilities. Also, as a professional or as a student, you can always opt to be a founder and start your own project, start your own initiative. There are so many opportunities out there. And also based on my own experience, and also the mentoring I've been doing here with the Women in Tech program, I helped two mentees who felt that they were stuck and they were not getting the opportunity. We worked together on their CVs, and and now they are getting the opportunity that they deserve. So don't definitely don't focus on the barriers and on the negatives. Just move on.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Noha. A question in the comments, maybe Holani can take this one. What are the advantages you notice from being a mentor besides the joy of helping another woman succeed in her career?
Look, I'm gonna say the joy is the most one. I think there is nothing as powerful as really just looking at people that you've helped, you've had conversation with, difficult, easy, and see them really just flourish. That's the first one. But the other one that we tend to take for granted is the reverse mentorship that happens. I think when you reach out to somebody with a lot of experience, you think you're never going to learn. Oh, I'm never going to learn from you. There is so much gold in having someone to mentor, because as you're having conversation, some days you leave that conversation, you're like, hey, I'm challenged the same way. Oh my goodness, I've just learned something new. I didn't know this exists. My goodness, I'm going to go and research about it, because as you grow in your career, you also lose touch with what's happening as well. But I think the other one that's also very important is how you get to increase your social capital and a network, which is really a strong bond of people that you've seen grow and flourish as well. So these are really just some of the few that I can mention. But above all, it's really creating the impact. And that's what we hope for, because that impact, it's an impact of, we see people growing, we see people getting into leadership roles, we see people really standing up there and going out there to help others. Because if I help you and you have seen the success of that, you want to create the same impact. And when we
Yeah.
do that, the impact just grows and it grows. And later on, when Razana is a CEO, I'm like, I know her. I've got a number here. Here's a photo. She used to, and people will be sitting with you saying it's not true. But that's the impact. You're creating your social capital. You're investing for years to come. Some of the
Yeah.
results you might not see right there. You might see them years later. Can you imagine? Just as an example, and I'm going to use Maya Angelou and Oprah when they were having conversation. Did she actually even think that Oprah would be this big? I don't think so. But she trusted and she looked at this young woman and she said, you know what, you've got it. And I'm sure Maya herself learned a lot from Oprah as well as they were having conversations. So let's continue really just making sure that we can invest in the journey of mentorship and mentees as well.
Thank you. I also urge all of the speakers to check out the comments after the call, because there's just too many to go through. But just to show you how helpful this session has been, Sydney commented, "This has been so helpful. My manager has been asking me to find a mentor, but I never really understood what this was. So thank you." And Teko is the same. And then we also have Erika saying that is where she's at right now, and she's wanting to be 100% ready. So thank you. She needed that. And we have Crisis saying progress over perfection. Okay, thank you. Thank you to all the speakers. So as we draw this enlightening session to a close, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude, first and foremost, to each and every one of you in our audience today. Your engagement and curiosity fuel our passion and drive for what we do. Thank you for being such an integral part of this journey. To my incredible team, whose dedication and hard work behind the scenes have made this event not just possible, but a resounding success, I'm endlessly thankful. Your commitment to our vision is what propels us forward. I think Walani will agree that Natasha deserves a special shout out for all of the social media posts that she's been doing. And to our esteemed guests, thank you for sharing your wisdom, experiences, and insights with us. Wow, it was really so amazing. So many golden nuggets of advice. Your contributions have undoubtedly enriched our discussions and left us much to ponder and aspire towards. Before we part ways, I'd like to remind everyone to connect with us on our platforms. This is the best way to stay up to date on our upcoming events, insightful articles, and all the exciting projects we have in store. If you haven't already, please sign up and join our growing community. Lastly, I'm thrilled to announce a unique opportunity. The Women in Tech South Africa chapter will be running competitions on our social media pages, so you can win a seat on the mentorship program. This program is designed to provide unparalleled guidance and support as you navigate your journey towards achieving your goals. So details on how to enter the competition will be shared on our platform. So make sure you're signed up and following us to not miss out. And thank you once again for joining us today. Your presence and participation make all the difference. Here's to continued learning, growth, and success. Until next time, take care and stay inspired.
Thank you, Razana.